Hello friends, my name is Pete Fianacca. I work in the Office of Residential Education here at Hobart and William Smith Colleges in Geneva, New York. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about an educational theory known as spiral curriculums. Spiral curriculum is a curriculum based on revisiting topics and ideas throughout a course or period of training. Don't confuse this notion of spiral curriculum as simply repeating the materials you're teaching though. A true spiral curriculum should be designed in a way that three conditions are always being met. The first and the most obvious is that topics and ideas are revisited often through the course. Second, though, is that each time a topic or an idea is revisited, it's done with an increasing amount of difficulty or complexity surrounding the topic or the idea. And lastly, it's making sure that new learning is always tied back to old learning or stored knowledge that's acquired in the beginning stages of the spiral. And I can give you guys a quick example of what I'm talking about right now. So each semester we bring our RAs, our resident assistants, back onto campus a few days early so that they can engage in training before the semester begins. Each time that we bring them back, we do the same basic thing with each group. It's called the behind closed doors exercise. Many of you are already familiar with what that looks like, but it's an acting-based case study analysis where RAs encounter various predetermined situations that they need to address, such as students experiencing suicidal ideation, students experiencing warning signs of depression or eating disorders, and so on and so forth. Each year we put our RAs through the same activity, and each year we end up with RAs at a very consistent ability level, and it made us think, what could we do as professional staff to build on this, to increase confidence, competency, and overall ability level of our RA staff as they tackle these situations throughout the year. And that's when we thought to introduce this spiral curriculum. Jerome Bruner, he was the guy that first noticed this idea of spiraling way back in the 1960s, and what he saw was specifically that this notion that even the most complex material could be introduced to a group of people in a less complex and more intuitive way, with the goal of basic mastery of basic material at the forefront. Then as mastery of basic material was completed, course content could evolve and could be revisited with newer, more complex learning outcomes designed for each stage in the spiral, with mastery as the goal for each level. Rather than presenting all of the information at once and working towards this kind of ultimate mastery that would happen, way down the line, he found that individual stages of mastery and this spiraling towards a more comprehensive understanding of the topic added a tremendous amount of value to the process. The spiral curriculum, it offers value in that it allows for content to be reinforced. It allows complex or detailed material to be broken down into smaller pieces. It promotes an integrative approach to learning and problem solving. It provides direction and a logical sequence to how to lay out material. It allows course or content designers to set higher goals and learning objectives for their learners. And it also allows for an amazing amount of flexibility in the learning process. Learners can enter the spiral at any stage of the game, really. And I guess think about it in this way. You might have a mid-year RA hire that's coming onto staff with no prior experience that might enter the spiral at a beginning stage. Whereas you might have a mid-year RA hire with 2 prior summers as a camp counselor experience who might come into the spiral at a second or a third or middle stage since they already have base content and base knowledge. In our attempt to adopt a spiral curriculum for our RA training program, we separated it into 4 distinct sessions. First, it's a spring session that's comprised of 3 classes that our new RAs will attend during the month of April. And these classes will introduce 3 major content areas to the RAs. So it's programming, conflict and confrontation, and duty procedures. The second session, which is the first follow-up, All RAs will participate in electronic activities online over the summer via Canvas and hopefully Collegiate Link, which our office will be launching this summer going into the fall. The third session, which would be the second revisiting, RAs would come back for their traditional fall training, but different for this year, the majority of them will have already seen their training content at least one or two other stages in a much more basic way and in a much more introductory way, and then they'll spend the fall training building on those skills. Lastly, our fourth stage, which would be our third revisit, we're going to reimagine and intentionally redesign our monthly in-services to act as mini trainings where we can revisit these topics again and introduce new learning objectives and go a little bit more in-depth into some of these conversations around RA training material and RA training content. We anticipate that this spiraling modification to our curriculum, it's not only going to make our RAs more confident in their abilities, but it's also going to combat this idea of RA training as a crash course before the start of the fall semester. We hope, ultimately, that this is going to rewire our students into becoming more sustainable and more consistent learners. So the question I have is, what could a spiral curriculum look like for you? Thanks.